Okay, so looking at 69 so far through 71, those are all very similar problems. You're solving an equation for a variable. So looking at 69, it says the following is the formula for finding the surface area of a rectangular prism. Which equation shows the formula correctly solved for h? So I have surface area is equal to 2 length width plus 2 hw, which is height and width, plus 2 length height. And again, we're solving this for h. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of anything that doesn't have h involved with it, and that would be right here. So I'm going to subtract it over, and I'm going to have s minus 2, and I'm going to actually make my length like that, width is equal to, and then on the right side I have still 2hw plus 2 length height. So these both have h in common, so I'm going to factor it out. And so I'll have s minus 2 length w is equal to, take the h out, 2 width plus 2 length. Now I can divide by all of that to get h by itself. So divide by 2w plus 2 length. And since those canceled, I have h by itself, and then I'm going to go ahead and check my responses. And it's going to correspond then to C. So C would have been the correct answer for number 69. Okay, so for number 70, first I'm going to write the formula. I have S is equal to 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. And so it says the following is the formula for the surface area of a right circular cylinder. Which equation shows the formula correctly solved for H? So the first thing I'm going to do is start with what h isn't involved with, which is 2 pi r squared, and subtract it over. So I have s minus 2 pi r squared is equal to 2 pi rh. Now I can divide by everything that's not h, which is 2 pi r, in order to get h by itself. So when I divide by 2 pi r, you can see h would be left by itself, and then the one that corresponds to that is C. So C would be your correct answer for 70. Okay, so for 71, it says the following is the formula for finding the surface area of a sphere. Which equation shows the formula correctly solved for r? So in order to get r by itself, we first divide by what's not r on the right-hand side. Since that's all multiplication, the opposite is going to be the division. So I'm going to divide by 4 pi. And so far I have s divided by 4 pi is equal to r squared. So then to undo the square to get r by itself, you have to square root. And so then I would have the square root of s over 4 pi is going to be equal to r. And then looking at your options, a b is going to match that answer. So 72 now through 76 are all solving absolute value equations. And the first thing you have to do is isolate the absolute value. In this example, it's already done for you. And then once you have that, you separate it into your two equations. You have the positive of what's inside the absolute value that makes it true, as well as the negative of what's in the absolute value that makes it true. And then you solve them separately. Over here to get x by itself, the x minus 3 is 14. You would add 3 to both sides. So again, you have two answers with absolute value. And so I get x is 17 as one of my answers. And then already looking at yours, A, B, and D are the only problems still in the running for this. On this side, I'm going to divide by the negative 1. So you might have learned just to change the n number to the negative, because you can see that's what happens. And then when I add 3, I get x is equal to negative 11. So my two answers are 17 and then negative 11, and the one that corresponds to that would be B. Okay, then for 73, you still have to isolate your absolute value first, and if you can see there's a negative on the outside, which is the same as the negative 1, so I first divide by it, and once I do that, then I can break it up into my two separate equations. So I'll have absolute value, 1/3 t plus 4 is now equal to positive 2. Then from there I have 1/3 t plus 4 is equal to positive 2, and then so I can skip the dividing by the negative step. And then I have 1/3 t plus 4 is equal to negative 2. And then I solve them both separately. I'm going to start by subtracting 4. and I have 1/3 t is equal to -2. To clear my fraction, multiply both sides by, the denominator, which would be 3. And so one of my answers then is t is equal to -6. On this side, same concept, subtract 4. 1/3 t is equal to -6. Multiply both sides by 3. T is going to be equal to -18. So I get -6 and -18, which corresponds to B for your options. Okay, then 74 is absolute value of 3x, and then plus 4 is equal to 19. So first thing you do is isolate your absolute value. So then I have 3x is actually equal to 15. Then I set up my two separate equations. I have 3x is positive 15, and then 3x is the negative 15. Divide both sides by 3. X is equal to 5, and then x is equal to -5. So the one that has 3 and -5, 5 and -5 as a response would be A. Okay, so then 75, the first thing you have to do is isolate the absolute value by adding 8 to both sides. So I have 1/2 x is equal to 28. Then I break it up to my two separate equations. 1/2 x is equal to 28, and then 1/2 x is equal to -28. And so then I multiply both sides by 2 on both equations, and so then x is equal to, that would be 56, and x is equal to -56. So then the one that corresponds to that would be C. Okay, so on 76, first we're going to isolate our absolute value, first by subtracting 4 from both sides. So I have -2x is equal to -2. Then we still have this -1 on the outside, so we divide by the -1, and we get 2x is equal to 2. And then now that it's isolated, you have your two separate equations. 2x is equal to 2, and 2x is equal to -2. Divide by 2. One of your answers is x is 1. Divide by 2, and then also -1. So then for 76, the one that corresponds to that would be A. So for number 77, it says which pair of equations has a common solution. So to have a common solution, they have to have the same value of the variable, or both have the same x value. I'm not going to go over all of them, but what you would do is go through A, solve them both, and then if they have two different numbers for x, you go to B. And since I know B is the right answer, I'm just going to go through the process on B. So I have 3 plus 2 times x plus 2 is equal to 13 is one of the equations that they give me. And then I also have 4 minus 2 times x minus 2 is 2. So to solve the one on the left, you distribute first. 3 plus 2x plus 4 is 13. Then combine like terms on the same side of the equal sign. So 2x plus 7 is 13. Then you would subtract 7. I get 2x is 6. Divide by 2, and x is 3. So now I'm going to verify that the right one also has the same value. So first distribute, so -2x plus 4 is equal to 2. Combine like terms, and so I have -2x plus 8 is equal to 2. Subtract 8, and I get -2x is equal to -6. Divide by -2, x is positive 3. So they both have the same x value, meaning they have the common solution, so that's why B was going to be correct for 77. Okay, so 78, you're given a proportion to solve, so you need to cross multiply on both sides. So I'd have 5, and I set it up to distribute, because you don't want to forget to multiply the 5 times both the y and the 4, is equal to 3y. Distribute, I have 5y plus 20 is equal to 3y. Since I have variables on both sides and no constant term on the right, I'm actually going to move my variable to the right by the opposite operation and subtract. So I have 20 is equal to -2y. Divide both sides by -2, and that's where I get y is -10. And so then looking at your options, that would be A.